has to start the meeting.
I knew it was too good to be true.
And then I would give it a beat or two for if there are any participants, attendees coming over to sort of make their way in, and then I would start.
We are live.
You're good to go.
Okay, I'd like to call the August 24th Parks and Rec Commission meeting to order. It is 6:32 on September 24th, 2022. And I'd like to welcome you to the meeting. This is a teleconference meeting with commission members, city staff, and members of the public participating remotely. Commissioners that are present include Vice Chair Jennifer Baskin, Commissioner Aurora Brosnan, Chair Mark Bryman, Commissioner Marin Bunyagit, Commissioner, is Peter here?
Yeah.
There he is. Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Peter Diepenbrock, Commissioner Peter Joshua, and Commissioner Kelsey Terrio. Staff members present include Library and Community Services Director Sean Reinhardt, Assistant Library Services Director Nick Shegda, Acting Assistant Community Services Director Rondell Howard, and Management Analyst Ashley Walker. Rondell is also the staff liaison for the commission. And Rondell, will you please take a moment to provide instructions to the commission and to the members of the public in attendance on how the meeting will proceed? Thanks.
Thank you, Chairman Bryman. So members of the commission should keep their cameras on and their microphones off until they're recognized by the chair. Commissioners should raise their hand to indicate that they wish to speak. If a member of the public wishes to speak during comment period, please notify staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. Public comments will be heard in the order received and is limited to 3 minutes in length. When your turn for public comment has arrived, staff will unmute you.
Under public comment, the public may address the commission on any subject that is not listed on the agenda. Each speaker may address the commission once under public comment for a limit of 3 minutes. Please clearly state your name and address or political jurisdiction in which you live. The commission cannot act on items not listed on the agenda, and therefore the commission cannot respond to non-agenda issues brought up under the public comment section, other than to provide general information. Rondell, do we have any public comments?
So at this time, if you would like to make a public comment on any item not on the agenda, please notify the staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. If you're dialing in, you can use the *9 to engage the raise hand function. And we do have one speaker. Jenny Michael, our Coleman Place. You may speak. Is it working? Can you
hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, commissioners, staff, and other resident stakeholders and the greater public at large. My name is Jenny Michelle from the Coleman Place neighborhood, also Jenny from the block. Although I'm a commercial property manager, I'm calling tonight as a concerned parent and longtime resident, recovering homeless person, and I just wanted to touch base. I've been reviewing the Ravenswood School District wish to develop their land to provide much needed housing to households as they see fit. And as you know, because of the concern of the few, the city is now obligated financially to have a ballot measure. City council may lose their ability to make decisions as a body that affect the city and region, but open us up to liability under various state statutes, which will cost us even more taxpayer money. So, that a few neighborhoods don't experience increased traffic. So these are incompatible conditions that now, unfortunately, fortunately, require you to act. And I request that you authorize, generate, direct a study session as to the feasibility of a dedicated bike path from Flood Park at Bay Road nearest to Del Norte, at the southwest point of Flood Park, down to the Ravenswood parcel. You know, we have an obligation to meet our local developers who are asked to create dynamic spaces and provide safe and adequate ingress. And I think, you know, for us to be able to generate that for the school district parcel to help minimize the single-use vehicle traffic on Sheridan Drive and by extension Hedge Road is an easy ask of us. Iris Lane to Del Norte Avenue is another option, but Flood has the square footage to help divert pedestrian and bike traffic off the roadways. And I just really appreciate your time and consideration on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And we have no other, no one else is waiting to speak. So you may continue.
Well, then, under regular business, the Parks and Recreation Commission considers recommendation from city and staff on policy matters or administrative actions that require Parks and Recreation Commission approval. Wait, am I in the right order here? Staff liaison, do we have any public comments on this item? What am I? C, A, B, C, D. Yeah, right.
Yeah, public comments on the approved minutes for our last Parks and Recs Commission meeting.
Correct.
Yeah, so I will go ahead, and so if there are any public comments at the time, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please notify the staff by using the raise hand feature on the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, again, please use *9 to engage that raise hand feature. And there are no comments.
Okay, then I guess that's open for the commission discussion. Is that correct?
Yes.
And again, specifically, are we talking about last meetings? I'm sorry, I've lost track here.
No, you're fine. We're on item D1. So if there are any commissions that want to bring up discussion or comment on it, this is the time that the commissioners can.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're approving last meeting's minutes.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So if there's no comment to be made, do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the July
27.
Parks and Recreation Commission.
Thank you, Jennifer. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Peter. Rondell, do we then take a vote? How does that work?
Yeah. So right now we'll go down the line. So we'll start with Commissioner Terrio. How do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Joshua,
Abstain.
Commissioner Diepenbrock,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunyagit. Did I say that right?
Correct. When y'all get abstain, I was absent. Yep.
Commissioner Bronson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Baskin,
Yes.
Chair Bryman.
Yes.
So we have this motion passes with a 5-2, and so we're good.
Thanks, Rondell. Item D2 is the Menlo Park Community Campus update, and Library and Community Services Director Sean Reinhardt will introduce this item and make a brief presentation. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. Now, I think I need to look to Ms. Walker here because this Zoom is not allowing me to screen share. So either we need to turn on the screen share or maybe the meeting host, which I'm not sure if it's Ms. Walker or Mr. Jekta, can put this presentation on the screen. Some of ours different. We have a few different Zoom accounts that we use, and sometimes the settings are a little different. Oh, looks like I'm good to go. So I'm going to get this on the screen here. Thank you, whoever did that. And I'm actually going to turn over the first part of the presentation to Acting Assistant Community Services Director, Rondell Howard. Take it away, Rondell.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Sean. So here we have a Menlo Park Community Campus updates for our commission. So this is on the Mpcc. So project updates, we do have coming up. We have construction tours, upcoming city council items, as well as a construction update in the parking area there. We also have some dollhouse visualization, some visuals with the furnishing layouts. And then we also have our resident survey, aquatics related survey results for you. So going back to our construction tours, our tours all take place at the same time at 3:30 p.m. We just had our first one this past Friday, which was October 21st. And that particular one was a tour on the interior stairs, a walkthrough of all the structures. So it was pretty informative. So we have a few more that'll be following up. So the next one, I'm sorry, the next one is October 21st. I apologize. The one that just passed was actually was last Friday, which was August 19th. So I apologize. But the next one is October 21st. Which will feature the interior stairs, passways, and walkthrough of the structure. Again, going back to the previous one that just happened, it was just kind of a walkthrough of the interior structure as well, with the with some of the layouts visual for everybody. So the next one again is Friday, October 21st. The one after that will be actually January 6th. This one will be tours around as before, but this one will also feature a tour of the swimming pool, splash pad that'll be under construction, in addition to, again, the main structure, the walkthrough and all of that. And then the one following that will be March 10th, and that will be focused on the gymnasium and kind of the interior of the rooms, in addition, again, to the beginning of the walkthrough structure and all that. So, so again, these tours are in place. If you would like to register for these, please contact myself in advance. Liability waivers are required. Also, we do ask that you wear boots, and then PPE will be given. So we have vest and hard hats for you. So be on the lookout. We really would like for everybody to attend as many as possible. Space is limited though, so please sign up as soon as possible and reach out to me. Information is at the bottom right there. Next slide. So next, our upcoming city council items, September 13th. The Mpcc project updates and results from the resident survey. So it'll be more based on the recreation and community programs. So that'll be an item on September 13th. Right now, still trying to figure this out, but either September or October, we'll authorize the staff to kind of issue requests for proposals for an aquatics operator at Burgess and as well as the new building at the new pool at the Mpcc. In October, November, the options for parking management plan will be out. So kind of the early prelims for that. And then also October, November, we will be awarded a contract for furnishing and non-fixed equipment. So all those furnishings will kind of be a line item as well. And then lastly, for November, December, we'll provide direction for updating the city council's policy, naming or changing name of the facility. So that'll kind of be on the list as well, as that is a huge topic and throughout the community. So we'll have that policy hopefully approved by council by November, December. Next is our construction update as far as the parking area. So the main parking area is getting a facelift. So that's happening as we speak. A lot of trenching and other underground construction work will be happening during this time. But the purpose of this is to prepare for some solar carports, drainage utilities of that nature. So this parking lot before was very limited, but now it's going to have a new facelift. It's going to be more access to parking again with solar carports, charging stations, things of that nature. During the meantime, during this construction, public access will be limited. And so there are a few spaces that's available in the front, but those will be taken away pretty soon as the parking area is going through phases as the construction is happening. There are 3 phases and it's under phase 1 right now. Phase 2 is possibly when the next 2 or when the few slots in the front are actually taken away. In addition to that, Beechwood actually does their pickup and drop off in the actual area right now, but starting next week, that pickup and drop off area for the parents and the students will be relocated to the Terminal Avenue entrance. So just to be aware that there will be some traffic over there. So, but in light of that, we will have some traffic controls in place. So we're fixing signs to let the neighborhood know. Our construction crew level 10 will have some flagmen out there to kind of help with the traffic flow and to make sure not some of the kids, but all the kids are safe when crossing and leaving and entering school. And all of this work in the parking area is supposed to go through from August through December. So just to get you kind of an update of what's happening with the parking structure at the new facility. It's going to be nice, but you're definitely going to have to take some hits. And so just to prepare everybody, this is kind of what's going to be happening during that time. Next slide.
Yes, I think at this point, we're going to switch gears and dive into the furnishing layouts and the aquatic survey results, but maybe right at this moment might be a good time to pause since the rest of the materials, there's a bit of it there. So maybe pause and see if there were any, if it's okay with Chair Prime, and see if there are any commissioner questions or comments on these previous slides.
Well, why don't we first, Rondell, see if there is any public comment thus far on this item.
Okay. 1 second, sorry. So if there are, at this time, if there are any public comments on this item, please use the raise hand function at the bottom of the Zoom screen. And if you're calling in, please use *9 to use the raise hand function. And at the moment, I see no comments.
Well, then why don't we open it up for commissioners to discuss any questions from any of the commissioners? Aurora, I see your hand up. Oh, is that not the case?
No, she's muted.
I think you're muted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's more a comment. Just I appreciated the view of upcoming city council topics in that opening. So just a comment that I think this is helpful for us to see.
I'd like to suggest that I was at Friday's tour on the 19th and was very, very impressed. It's a very impressive structure, and they're well on their way to getting this thing done. We did take stairs that weren't yet internal. The stairs are still there, kind of scaffolding external stairs, but we walked up to the second floor. We walked up to the roof where there will be, I guess, just mechanicals, but the view from up there is tremendous. And really, it's a very impressive facility, and I think something that we should be very proud of. I look forward to seeing it in context as we sort of move on. Mary?
Oh, I just wanted to confirm and with what Rondell said today at Beechwood at our staff meeting. We did a walkthrough and training with the construction updates. So we'll be prepared to make sure that the students are safe with the new drop off, and also students going to the after school program. So just in line with what Rondell saying, that we've on the teacher end at Beechwood, we've been working on the safety as well.
Well, that's great. Anybody else? Let's see here.
If there are no other commissioner comments, there's more to the presentation here.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Well,
Sean.
we just felt like this was a good point to pause since there's more material here. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and continue with the Mpcc updates, and we'll move into some new renderings of the furniture layouts. So there were a few requests to get a little bit more kind of a 3D sense of what the actual furnishings will look like. So this is kind of a sketch showing the senior lounge, and we're going to look at a much more fully rendered one here in a second. But I just wanted to point out that this is that senior lounge, and you first walk into the building and go to the right. That's like kind of the senior lounge on the way into the dining room. So that's this room here. Front door, go in, off to the right. And so this vantage point is from standing here and looking back toward the room. So that's what you see here. There's like a room divider. There's some nice lounge seating and cool lighting. This area just behind these walls here, that's actually the front entryway. All right, so folks actually come in through this door right here. And then this is the main corridor. If you go left, like that way back there, that would be toward the gym. And then if you come this way down the hall, you're moving toward the senior lounge in the dining room. And so this is what that will look like. The architects who drew this up, they tried to make things match what's actually going to go in. So there may be some differences, but you can see these are the types of chairs. This is kind of what the aesthetic will look like. Here's what the room divider and bookshelves will be, and the beloved pool table will make its way from the main library back over here to the Mpcc. They might have to fight the librarians to get it out of there, but we'll see. But we thought this kind of gives you a better sense of like what the look and feel of the building's going to be like. Similarly, the children's library, we did some treatment there. Now that is same floor, if you walk in the front door of the building and just go straight across that corridor, as you may recall, that children's library is right there with a little courtyard on the back. So down here is the overhead view of that. There's that entry corridor. You come in from the bottom in this perspective and you walk straight into the children's library. So these two vantage points are shown here in these two corners of the room. View 2 is kind of looking this way, back toward the door to the children's library from one end, and this is looking at it from the other. So this is kind of what it might look like, or will look like, more or less, when it's fully rendered. You can kind of see the children's seating areas, the bookshelves in the middle of the floor, some kind of whimsical ones that are a little more display, not necessarily as practical from a librarian perspective, but that's okay, they look cool. And this is the entry into the children's library from the main corridor. They've even rendered the stairway in the background there. There's these cool portholes. You can see what the lighting fixtures are programmed to look like, the general color palette. Through this door leads to that outdoor courtyard, so extending the children's library. And that courtyard is shared with the after-school center, which is on the other side of this door. We thought we'd like to have a look at kind of what some of the textures are going to be looking like and the colors. Looks like a nice place for kids. Upstairs, the makerspace is right off of the all ages library. And this is an indoor-outdoor space as well. So over here off to the, on the lower right here, moving my mouse around, this would be like that library space, and then you could go into the makerspace from there. This is the indoor area, a kiln room here, some storage, bank of counters and some storage. And then there's this outdoor terrace, and this is again on the second floor, kind of looking out over Kelly Park Field. But the vantage points in these drawings are from standing at these two different corners of the room. So here's one in one corner of the room looking over at the makerspace and out to the terrace beyond. And then here's one that's kind of standing out on the terrace, looking back into the room. And I think the one that was fully colored is from inside of the room, right? And so off to the right, you can see kind of the counters and the sinks and some of the storage, the work tables. This is that beautiful terrace that's outside. There are mature redwood trees off on to the side there from the Spanish point, so that's accurate. And then through these doors would be going back out into the all ages library space. You see, it's kind of got a cool updated industrial look, but very clean. Very excited about this space. I think it'll do a lot of good things for the neighborhood. So that's makerspace. And then this is what's called a dollhouse view. There's a couple more slides here and we're done with this part. So this is what the first floor of the building would look like, kind of like a dollhouse, but these are actual to-scale renderings of the furnishings that have been picked out at this point in time. The one thing not shown on this is the gymnasium. The gymnasium is over here on this side. There's no furniture in there really to speak of, so we didn't render it. But again, you walk in the front entrance of the building here, and then here's that main corridor. We just saw that senior lounge here. What wasn't shown was that there is a little kind of a service counter here with the senior center staff back there, kind of like a reception counter. And then you go through this door, this is the main dining hall. This will be the senior lunchroom when the seniors are there, but otherwise it's going to be like the main community dining hall. Seats, this one's showing in dining configuration. I think this is 120 seated, if I'm not mistaken. And it could go to about 220 audience style. Dividable, there's like a skyfold kind of wall that you can pull right down the middle of the room to divide it into two. And then each side of the room has an outdoor terrace associated with it. So this, and they're showing even the outdoor furnishings that we plan to kind of put out there. This terrace at the back, and again, Kelly Park and Field is back here. Also includes some kind of interesting picnic tables. Then moving back down into the corridor, you go through the front entrance and straight across the hall into that children's library that we just looked at. You can see some of those distinctive shelves there in the view, just to orient yourselves. And then here's that children's courtyard that's outside. They didn't show that I think there's a little low dividing wall right around where this line is here, just so you know, that's kind of more enclosed than it looks. And then over here is the entry to the youth center. This is the after school program, and it also serves as a home base for the summer camps. These are school age kids. This is kind of their main kind of classroom and activity space. There's what's not shown here, actually, there is a kitchen associated with this space. It's kind of right over here. So final thing I'll just point out is over on this side, there is a reception counter mainly for the whole building. Primarily, I think it'll be for gym users and to some extent the pool because it's on that wing of the building. But that's there, as well as the staircase is right in this vicinity, as are the elevators, the elevators right there. So that's kind of the quick overview of the first floor. And then going this way is going up to the second floor. This is pretty much just stacking right on top here. Here's that stairwell coming up that I just kind of motioned to, and here's the second floor corridor. There's a flexible classroom space right off the corridor. Also shown here is the movement studio, the dance studio, and then next door to that is the fitness room, which will be fitness center, fitness equipment, working out, exercise bikes, things like that. This whole second floor area overlooks the swimming pools, so they'll have a nice view of swimming pools. And then this area that's kind of wide over here, it's not shown, but this is the gym. So this is kind of just like the second floor of the gym, which is open to below. Back in the corridor, moving off to the right, this is the all ages library space. You can see, the bookshelves, the seating. There's a couple of rooms carved out here. One is like a little study tutoring room behind some glass walls, seats like 2, maybe 3 people. Back in this corner is the teen room and lounge, specifically for teens after school, all the time really. And then there's like another conference room kind of embedded in the library space here. That one seats about 10. I think this flex classroom, you could get up to 16 in here. And so this one's 10. And then here's the makerspace that we just looked at. And all of this overlooks Kelly Park in the field. And again, these furnishings are all to scale. So we just wanted to show that to you. I'll pause there before we go into the aquatics stuff and maybe see if there's any questions or comments or about all of that layout.
Sean, I was just hoping to clarify that on the first floor and the second floor, that back of the house, is that the main kitchen? Is that what that is?
Oh, yes, thank you. I kind of glossed over it because it's covered, but yes, there are 2 kitchens in this space. So there's a full commercial kitchen kind of on this side. And that's primarily for the senior lunch program. But, a kitchen on this, it could crank out a couple hundred meals easily. And then there's a smaller, like a prep or warming kitchen. And this would be primarily for facility rentals. So like folks they'll want to have like wedding receptions or quinceañeras, birthday parties. And then the prep kitchen is what they would use because the main kitchen is pretty much set up for daily use by the senior program. So we kind of don't want to commingle use of the kitchen. So in addition, this whole facility is being built to advanced seismic stability and other safety standards so that it can function as an emergency shelter in the event of a major disaster, like an earthquake of up to 7 points. So the kitchen and also the electrical microgrid, there's a battery power that can operate the building for a few days based on just stored energy in the battery packs, they're Tesla Powerwall type things. So it'll be very, very robust as an emergency center. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Chair Bryman. I kind of glossed over that.
And the second floor, if we could go to that slide for a sec, that also, there's bathrooms on one side, there's staff on the other side, and then back of the house is in the middle. What is that?
Yeah, great. So let me walk through that too. So there is some staff area back here, just like some offices for the staff. This area is actually, you can barely see it. This is the secondary stairwell, which actually will be accessible to the public. You need to have like 2 paths of egress out of a building. So there's 2 stairwells. There's this front one that most people will use, but then there's also this rear stairwell, which is publicly accessible. And then there are public restrooms in this location on this floor. I believe all this stuff sits on top of the kitchen. So there isn't a corresponding one on the ground floor, but let me just see. No, I'm sorry, this stuff sits over here. So in fact, the first floor bathrooms are down here, like kind of off this corridor. And then there are some additional staff. This is primarily the senior center staff. I think I covered everything on, oh, and also on this floor. Yeah, the only restrooms on this floor are up here.
And I remember that when I was on the tour on Friday, we came up to the roof and I didn't realize that it was not for the public, but somebody said, oh, there will be internal stairs for the staff. Is that in the back of the house? Is that where those stairs are up to the roof?
No, my understanding is roof access is really like for maintenance purposes, and I'm fairly certain that it actually takes the form of a ladder that goes from inside the building, like in one of the maintenance closets. I think there's
Oh,
a
I see.
maintenance closet back here,
Right.
and then you can kind of shimmy up the ladder and open the
Got it.
hatch and go out there.
All right.
And that'll be not only for the building equipment, there's a lot of solar panels on top of the building as well.
Right.
Other questions about this stuff? It's getting exciting. It's approaching reality. So I'll just emphasize too, I really encourage commissioners to jump on one of these tours or even all of these tours. It's an incredible project to experience and be a part of, and it's moving fast. So please do jump in if you can find the time on a Friday afternoon to check it out. But with that, we'll move into looking at the aquatics related excerpts from the recent resident survey. Now, the commission will view the full results of the entire survey in September, but right now a big focus is on aquatics because it's been, just last night, actually, the city council did a study session on aquatics. So I wanted to just share this information with the commission and get your thoughts on it. You may recall last month we got some preliminary stuff. Here are the final results for the aquatics section. And again, this was part of a resident survey citywide for all recreation and community programs, really developed with input from this commission, as well as others as shown here. The survey opened June 13th. It closed August 10th. It had over 900 respondents. The aquatics related excerpts are also attachment A and the staff report here for folks who really want to dive in. And the full results of this survey will be presented to City Council on September 13th, followed by a presentation to the Parks and Rec Commission at your September meeting, which I think is September 27th, might be 28th. Okay, but diving in, I think we looked at this a little bit last month. We asked folks to report what neighborhood they live in. You can see a very good distribution here of the neighborhoods that kind of responded. We asked folks how long have they lived in Menlo Park. 54% total have lived in Menlo Park 10 or more years. So really good representation from longtime residents, as well as really good. The other half are folks who've been here 10 years or less. So a good distribution there. Also asked age, primarily adults, of course, responding to the survey. That's not a surprise, but fairly decent spread there, corresponding with the population of the city. So that's good. And then we asked folks to identify what age groups live in their household. Obviously, it's skewed mostly towards adults because adults will be the ones primarily responding to the survey, but gives us kind of a sense of, when they're responding, are they responding as a household with children or seniors or just adults? So that's helpful. And then moving in just to some insights from the aquatics related results. So all that stuff we kind of went through, and there was a set of questions that asked, how important are the following things to you? And then there were kind of three choices: not at all important, somewhat important, or very important. Right, 1, 2, 3. And so you can take that information to get a sense of relative importance. So in this case, what we're looking at on this slide are the statements that were most often rated with some level of importance, either somewhat or very important combined. So, and this is just going from most to least, at least in the top of the range. Most often, folks, 93% rated swimming pools open year round as somewhat or very important. 91% that the pools are open 7 days per week. Also 91% that the pools are focused on the needs of Menlo Park residents. 89% that There are free or discounted fees for residents. 89% swimming lessons for children are important. 89% that open swim and community swim time is important. 87% that lap swimming is important, adult lap swimming specifically. 85% that children and families would have priority for just play and social time in the pool. 84% and 83% respectively rated aquasize, exercise, aquatherapy, physical therapy is important. So this is the cluster that was like really up in the 80 to 90% range of importance. So there's some key insights from the survey. A couple more here, just about frequency. 51% of the respondents said that they never or rarely visit city operated pools. Rarely meaning once a year or less often, and never obviously meaning never. So a lot of folks who never use the pools responded, which is something we were hoping for. We wanted to get a survey that also included non-users of the pool or rare users of the pool, in addition to the other half do visit on some kind of regular basis, so that's good. And then 26% said that they are frequent users, once or more a week. So good representation from current pool users too. So all of this just affirming that we feel pretty good about these survey results, that it was pretty representative. So then looking at the other end of the scale, the statements that were most often rated not at all important. 39% rated that swimming pools attracting participants from outside Menlo Park who are charged higher fees as not at all important. 34% that priority for using the pool would go to competitive swimming or sports. 27%, and there was a more general version of that, which was just how important is competitive swimming and sports in general. So 27% rated that is not at all important. 23% about lap swimmers having priority, which is an interesting contrast to, I think there was like 84% who said lap swimming is important. So that's kind of an interesting juxtaposition. And then 20% rated that the wading pool and splash pad is not all that important. Now, these are the highest not important ratings, and you can see even at the highest level, it's 39%, not like a majority, but a substantial minority. So those are some of the insights. Here's what that data looks like. It was in the report, so I'm not going to linger on it, but you kind of see here's how that breaks down. For example, the one that was how often do you visit? You can see between never 40% and rarely 11%. That's the 51% who visit rarely or not at all, right? Then on the other end of the scale, we just saw that 26% visit fairly frequently, once a week or more often. That would be like these two categories, either once or twice a week or more than once a week. You combine those once or more a week, that's 26% combined. So that's kind of how that math works. You can also see in the staff report in the attachment, more breakdown of, well, where did they fall? And not at all, or somewhat, or very. There's even like a little bit of a shading to kind of show the intensity. And this was about how important are the following programs. We just kind of went through this data, so I won't linger on it. The other big question was, for aquatics and swimming programs, how important are the following items, like in general? And you can see that. Also, the number of respondents. The number of respondents tends to go down a little bit as the survey wears on. It's a pretty long survey, but still a good number of folks there. And I believe that is the end of the presentation. So let's stop there and see if there are any questions.
Rondell, now that we finished the presentation, are there any more public comments?
So at this time, if you would like to make a public comment, please notify staff. Sorry about that. Please notify staff by using the Zoom function, the raise hand function at the bottom of the Zoom screen. And if you're dialing in, please use the *9 to engage that raise hand function. And at this moment, I see no public comments.
And are there any further comments or commissioner questions?
Sean, did you say there's going to be 2 pools at the new community center?
At the new one?
Yeah.
The new one will have 2 pools, so like a performance pool and an instructional pool, but it will also have like a splash pad kind of play feature. Like a little children's kind of play splash pad in between the 2 pools.
So pretty similar to the Burgess setup then, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as like, you know, that there are the two pools and,
Yeah.
and, you know, kind of like a kids feature in there. And similar to the Bellhaven pool, as far as just the square footage and what's there. And that's kind of true for the overall project, because one of the criteria for the project was it really was just kind of replacing what was already there without expanding it to too great of a degree, because expanding it substantially would have triggered a whole other series of environmental reviews that would have taken several years to complete. And so the swimming pools are more or less kind of the same scale.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
Is the gym going to be the same size as the old gym that was over there?
I think I'll ask Rondell to speak to that.
Yes, the gym will be the same size, but there will be some additional features as far as bleachers and added rims around. Added rims, and then there'll also be a retractable volleyball net, as well as a retractable divider net as well. So there'll be some upgraded features, but yes, overall it'll be the same exact size.
Okay, thanks.
Very cool. Do we don't have any, we don't need to take action on this, right? This is just informational.
Yeah, really mostly just to give the commission updates and get any feedback, comments, questions at this point in time.
Well, I'm not seeing or hearing of any other comments. So informational items are transmitted to the Parks and Recreation Commission and staff's effort to provide an update on matters of importance to the commission. Informational items are not action items. However, a commissioner, city staff member, or a member of the public may request a comment, request to make a comment or ask a question of any of the informational items. Department updates. At this point, department updates this month include updates on recent city council items of interest to the commission, including city council study session on the aquatics. Have we already done that? Have we already gone over that?
We did cover a good amount of the survey results. However, last night, the city council did meet and discuss the aquatic survey results and gave the staff some direction about the RFP, which we're putting together for September 20th. I would say for commissioners who are interested, probably the best way to get ready on that is to actually read the staff report, because the meeting last night with city council pretty much stayed pretty closely to what's actually in the report. So that's a pretty good way to get up to speed. And of course, you can also watch the video.
Are there any updates on city hosted community events?
I would recommend reading that item. It's a brief update to the council, just about like a tentative calendar for events. That item will come back to city council September 13th for some direction, in particular about events that are based on holidays of religious origin. Last year there was some questions from city council members about, to what extent should the government be hosting like very overtly kind of Christmas celebrations or Easter celebrations as to the exclusion of maybe other holidays. So that discussion will be on September 13th.
Thanks, Sean. Any updates on the gymnastics program reactivation? Or again, just read the report.
Oh, well, in the report, it does show a timeline. And I think what the main thing, just to kind of emphasize and add there, is we're super excited that the gymnastics program will be reopening. We don't have a firm date yet, but we're on track with the timeline that's included in the packet here. to have the program reopen in the November timeframe. And we have already been successful in securing a program coordinator. The recently retired program coordinator, Karen Mahalik, is actually coming out of retirement part-time to help kickstart and restart the program. So we're really happy about that. And also, we just posted recruitments for gymnastics personnel yesterday for gymnastics instructors and program assistants. So we're beginning to staff up and to hit that November opening timeline.
And those will be Menlo Park City employees as opposed to a third party?
Correct. We are going to be operating the program directly as it was before.
Okay, thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
So I think we've got that covered.
Sorry, Chair Bryman. Commissioner Bunyagit has her.
Oh, I'm
hand
sorry, I
raised.
didn't see that. I'm sorry. Mary, go ahead.
No problem. I just wanted to see, so would gymnastic rec courses be available for winter session? Is that the idea, or not till spring?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan, to have at least some initial programming start up in November. And then, phasing into, if not the full package, pretty close to the full package for the winter session, which I would like to start in January. I could finally give the literally hundreds of emails I've received asking when gymnastics are open. We finally have something to report. I'm very happy about that.
That's good. And again, Rondell, are there any public comments about gymnastics? Or any of these past items?
So at this time, if you would like to make a public comment, please notify staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. If you're dialing in, use the *9 to engage that raise hand feature. And looking at the public, we have no public comments at the moment.
Okay, and so that's it for no other commissioner comments or questions? Okay, and then I guess we move on to item E2, which is the tentative agenda calendar that we worked on just a little bit, updated it very slightly the other day. And I guess, am I asking for public comment on that or no?
Yeah, we can ask for it, and then we can go into any comments from the commissioners. So,
Right.
So again, at this time, if you'd like to make a public comment, please a public comment on item E2, please notify staff by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And if you're dialing in, please use *9 to use that raise hand function. And there are no public comments.
And then are there any commissioner questions or comments about this tentative agenda that's on the screen?
Scroll down a little bit here so you can see some of those unscheduled items down here at the bottom.
Well, if there are no comments or questions, is this something that we approve? Do I have a motion? Do I need a motion to approve this? No?
Generally, it's just been sort of by general consensus, because the chair generally sets the agenda, but obviously if there are any suggestions or objections, that would be a good time to voice them. And unless there are any, I did have one suggestion to add. So if I may, I would like to consider, I think we should add for September, a update on the Zipline playground feature at Milan Park. So there's an all abilities playground, as you know, at Milan Park, and it includes like kind of a big sort of zipline feature with a big sled that kids of all abilities can play on together. And it's been out of service for some period of time due to some issues with noise generated by that equipment, which disturbs the neighbors who live nearby when it's used overnight, which was happening pretty frequently. And so there's been a lot of effort to try to modify and change out that equipment so that children can use it, but also the neighbors aren't kept up all night with like this huge racket. So we figured out a way, and it involves immobilizing the sled overnight by kind of locking it in place and then coming out, in the morning and unlocking it so kids can use it. So at least any noise generated, because it is a park, there's going to be noise of kids playing. It's like during the day and not, when people are trying to sleep. So we're going to start that on Monday, but just on weekdays, and see how it goes for a few weeks. And then if it goes well, we look to expand that access to weekends. We just want to test the equipment, make sure everything's working well, and see if that solution is going to, work for everybody. So what we'd like to do is come back to the commission at your September meeting, which is 4 weeks from now, and we'll kind of give an update on that and maybe get any guidance that we might need from the commission at that point. So we'd like to add that to September if that works for everybody.
Sean, just a quick question. What hours have you decided that it needs to be locked off, from when to when?
That's a good question. Rondell might have more detail there.
So at the moment, we're looking like later after school, leaving it up for an hour. So I think it's about like 5:36 when we lock it up. And then it's unlocked. It's unlocked by our public works team I believe at like 6 or 7 in the morning.
Interesting. I mean, Sean, you made a comment about sleeping. People aren't sleeping at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, are they? I mean, there may be some people napping at 2 or 3, but I don't think anyone's.
Yeah, there's kind of a bit of a sort of a staffing challenge with locking and unlocking it every single day. So it's part of the reason for the trial period is to see, is this solution like effective for children to use it and also for the neighbors to be mollified? And if so, then we can kind of make that investment in staffing to actually just manually lock and unlock, make that permanent and maybe move the hours around. So that's the reason for that particular time. Yeah.
Makes sense. Any commissioner comments on that? So I guess we'll add that to the September meeting. That sounds great. Thanks, Sean. Where are we? So no vote necessary on that. Commissioner reports. Is anybody want to do a quick presentation or have something to say? I'll just reiterate again that I went on that city center, Menlo Park center tour on Friday. And again, it's very impressive. I would strongly recommend that you guys check it out when possible. And I'm looking forward to the next one just to see kind of the progress that's being made. But I think it's well worth it. And I now am understanding why the locals would feel like, well, wait a minute, this is for us more or less, and everyone's going to be coming and kind of, right. I mean, I know that when you see it, you'll think, wow, I want to spend time here.
Commissioner,
Okay, so
we have Commissioner Bunyage has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Once again, go for it, Mayor.
No problem. Just wanted to say a quick shout out to the people who coordinated the music in the park at Bellhaven Elementary last Friday. Was able to go with my family. I'm looking forward to it again on Friday, this upcoming Friday. It's a great way to have community members. We had commissioners, we had community people, we had people from the Bellhaven preschools from both centers. And yeah, it was just a great, fun event. So I'm glad what we were able to have something like that in our neighborhood.
That's very cool. Well, if there are no other comments or questions, I
I
guess.
think
we
you
can-
have Commissioner, Vice Chair Baskin.
Oh, I'm sorry. My screen isn't big enough for this.
No, sorry. And I didn't have I just raised my hand, didn't have the raise hand feature. I had, and I would love if maybe, I'm pretty sure he's on here too, Commissioner Diepenbrock might want to chime in on this, but I have gone a few times to play pickleball. And actually, within my school community, a lot of community members have asked about pickleball, have formed groups and started playing more. I haven't been able to go to check out the times of like really high activity usage, and one actually more than a few requests have come, but one that I actually helped facilitate an introduction to one of the city staff members to find out this was possible. But I know courts 1 and 2 are reservable at Milan Park, but those are currently only tennis courts. And large groups, like groups of like 40 to 50 people are looking to form within like the elementary schools and trying to do sort of one-off event play there. And we're asking if it would be possible with enough time in advance, if the pickleball court could be reservable, you know, just given it's one court, and they would look to hopefully do it during a lesser used time, like a Sunday night or a Friday evening. I know there's been mixed messages. From my experience, the pickleball courts have been very, very actively used and quite often full. So a group like that is not encouraged to kind of show up with their whole, you know, sort of school posse if they won't be able to get on. But then I think one of the pickleball members recently emailed the commission asking or talking about open, very, very sort of open, low usage times. So I just think if that is the case, we have really high interest and demand to get a group out there that would like to kind of start with a more organized function and would like to reserve. If there's something we could kind of do to accommodate that and really get, you know, more community members involved. Again, not to be exclusive, but if they're trying to get more people involved and they're getting a group together and possibly like raising money for the school or doing something that's a social event, they would need the whole court or the whole group of 4 courts.
Just to answer your question, I would definitely say that weekdays from noon to 4 p.m. is very, very little usage at that time. Before and after is when it's the busiest.
So if they were going to come on, say, a Friday or Sunday night, it's very, very busy then.
I would say it's in the evening. If they were looking at the evening,
Yeah,
they're very busy from 5 p.m. till 7:30, but after 7:30, it definitely drops off. So
okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, I guess one sort of maybe takeaway or idea from this commission is there a way with very advanced notice that we would look to ever make the courts reservable at certain periods of time that might not be as high usage. I do think there's a reason between 9 to 4 they're not as highly used, because in some ways people work and or in school or things like that, and they couldn't do that. But if maybe like a weekend evening after 7, it'd be possible to do that. I think there'd be kind of high demand.
So I think I'm glad this is coming up. You know, we do plan to do an update about pickleball, I think at the October meeting, but it sounds like the request you have is, you know, maybe sooner than that. I think there is a distinction between, you know, 1 or 2 people reserving a court that's one type of reservation versus like a larger organized school-based activity where, you've got 30 or 40 people, and really a reservation is needed in that situation, just because so many logistics happen. So I think what we can do is, Rondell can maybe connect with you and with this group and kind of better understand what's being sought here, and maybe looking at when are the downtimes in the court, and then use that as the basis to maybe come back to the commission with a proposed update to the reservation policy that would kind of carve that out. Because I do think there's a distinction there between the one-offs and the 2 people reserving versus like a big group.
Great, thank you.
Just as a clarification, is there any reservation policy for pickleball now? Any at all?
Yeah, they're currently not reservable.
No.
Right. Well, again, I will weigh in on this later, but I've played pickleball a couple of times. I wouldn't consider myself a pickleball player, but due to its huge popularity and some of the in traveling, have seen some courts that have actually been built and dedicated to pickleball, small courts that are nothing but pickleball courts. It would seem to me that we probably need to eventually formalize this thing and make it a little bit more of a reality than just draw some lines and come up with sort of fake nets or whatever. But we'll talk about that later.
But also, just for clarification, Sean, I mean, it is possible to reserve the Kelly Park pickleball courts.
Oh, is that the case?
Yeah.
Rondell's nodding. Okay, I think I stand corrected.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
okay.
Milan Park is actually just there for open play, walk-ins, whereas Kelly Park is a little bit underutilized, and so that is available for reservation.
But it also should be pointed out, Sean, that Kelly Park doesn't have nets anymore. They're down to 1 net left. So I guess, I don't know, maybe we'll address this in October or whatever, but it is a problem. So
Well, thanks for
Yeah.
reporting that.
yeah.
All right, guys, thanks so much. I think if there are no other items, we can probably adjourn. Am I right? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
Night.
Oh.
Good night.